Meet Arjun. Arjun is 32 years old. He works as a graphic designer at a mid sized firm. From the outside, he has a decent life, but on the inside, he is exhausted. Every morning, he wakes up anxious. He spends the day trying to be agreeable, saying yes to unreasonable deadlines, laughing at jokes he does not find funny, and carefully crafting his words so nobody gets upset. At night, he lies awake, replaying conversations, terrified that he might have offended someone. Arjun is a people pleaser, and like 49% of adults, he is burning himself alive just to keep everyone else warm. But here is the thing, Arjun was not always like this. He has a story about why. When Arjun was 8 years old, his father was a strict man. Not abusive, but cold. Arjun would draw pictures, beautiful, colorful drawings, and run to show his father. And his father would look up from his newspaper, grunt, and say, "This is fine, but can you focus on your math homework instead?" This happened hundreds of times. Arjun stopped showing his drawings. He learned a dangerous lesson. What I create does not matter. What I do is not valuable. What matters is what other people think of me. By the time he was a teenager, Arjun had constructed a worldview. He told himself, the world is a place where I need to earn approval to survive. If I am not liked, I'll be abandoned. If I am not perfect, I am worthless. Arjun is now 32, and he is still trapped in that childhood prison. But what if I told you that everything Arjun believes about himself is a lie? What if his past has zero control over who is he today? What if his happiness is not something that happened to him, but something he is actively choosing every single day? This is the radical, uncomfortable, and liberating philosophy at the heart of a book that has sold over 3.5 million copies across Asia. The Courage to be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi and Fumitake Koga. Let's dive in. The book is written as a Socratic dialogue between a philosopher and a young man over 5 nights. The young man is cynical, depressed, and convinced that his past has ruined him. He blames his trauma, his family, his circumstances. He sounds just like Arjun. He sounds just like us. But the philosopher introduces a completely different way of seeing the world. He draws on the theories of Alfred Adler, one of the 3 giants of psychology alongside Freud and Jung. And here is where it gets interesting. While Freud was obsessed with the past, digging through childhood wounds and blaming the parents, Adler was obsessed with the future. He believed we are not driven by causes but by goals. This is called teleology, the study of purpose rather than cause, and it completely flips the script on how we understand ourselves. The philosopher drops a bomb on night 1, a claim so outrageous it might make you want to throw the book across the room. Trauma does not exist. And now, before you click away, hear this out. Adler is not denying that terrible things happen. He is not saying that abuse, loss, or violence are not real. They are devastatingly real. But here is the distinction that separates the miserable from the free. We are not determined by our experiences. We are determined by the meaning we give to our experiences. Think about this. If trauma inevitably destroyed a person's future, then every single person who survived the same war, the same poverty, or the same abuse would end up in exact same place. But they don't. Some people are shattered by hardship, others are forced into steel by it. What is the difference? It's not what happened, it is what they decided to make it mean. Here is the killer question the philosopher asked the young man and us. Is your unhappiness serving a purpose? Are you holding on to your past because it gives you an excuse not to try? Because as long as you are a victim of your history, you do not have to risk changing. You do not have to risk rejection. You do not have to risk failing. In Adlerian psychology, this is called the life lie. The stories we tell ourselves to avoid taking responsibility for our own lives. We create our own sufferings because, on some level, it is convenient. The young man in the book has a friend who is a recluse, a certain who refuses to leave his house. The young man assumes it is because of past social trauma or severe anxiety, but the philosopher disagrees. He argues that the friend's goal is not to go outside. He is using anxiety as a tool to justify staying safe. Why? Because staying in his room gives him attention, sympathy, and complete avoidance of rejection. He would rather be bored and hidden than risk being exposed, criticized, or failing in the real world. We all do this in our own ways. We stay in dead-end jobs because we fear the uncertainty of starting over. We stay in toxic relationships because we fear being alone. We don't pursue our dreams because we fear being laughed at. We would rather be safe and miserable than free and vulnerable. If you take nothing else from this video, take this, because this one concept will save your relationships, your sanity, and your energy. If you are a parent, your child's homework is not your task. It is your child's task. Your job is to be available if they ask for help. Your job is to prepare them for the natural consequences of their choices. But if you nag, fight, and lose sleep over their grades, you are intruding on their task. And when you intrude, you breed resentment and dependency. Think about your boss. If your boss is angry, harsh, or unreasonable, that anger is their task. Your task is to do your job with integrity. How they react to your work is their problem, not yours. But we get trapped. We get trapped because we take on their emotional baggage. We feel responsible for their moods. We lose sleep because they are unhappy. The book states it bluntly. All interpersonal relationship troubles are caused by intruding on other people's tasks or having your own tasks intruded upon. If you set a boundary and someone gets upset, their disappointment is their task to manage, not yours. This is not coldness, this is freedom. And this naturally leads us to the title of the book, The Courage to be Disliked. Adler makes a terrifying claim. Freedom is being disliked by other people. Pause and let that sink in. If you are never disliked by anyone, ever, what does that actually mean? It means you are performing. It means you are living your life to satisfy everyone else's expectations. You are shaping your personality to fit what others want. You are watering down your opinions, hiding your passions, and biting your tongue to keep the peace. You are not living. You are people pleasing. And people pleasing is a prison. Research backs this up. A 2022 study published in the Journal of Clinical Psychology found that people-pleasing behaviors are strongly correlated with anxiety, depression, and burnout. When we constantly suppress our true selves to gain approval, we pay a heavy psychological price. Most of us are so desperate for external validation, for likes, for praise, for acceptance that we completely sacrifice our authenticity. We ask, what will people think? Instead of asking, what do I actually want? The book argues that seeking recognition is a trap. It makes you weak. It makes you dependent on the whims of strangers. Real, unshakable freedom arrives the moment you stop caring whether people approve of you and start caring whether you are living according to your own values. Now, to be clear, this does not mean being a jerk. It does not mean hurting people intentionally. It means accepting the inevitable, that no matter what you do, some people will not like you. And that is okay. If you are authentic, you will offend someone. If you stand for something, you will trigger someone. That is not a failure. That is the price of being a real human being. So, if we stop chasing approval, what do we chase instead? Adler's answer is beautiful. He says, True happiness comes from community feeling, a deep primal sense that you are contributing to something larger than yourself. But here is the catch: you cannot contribute to others if you are stuck competing with them. In a competitive mindset, there are only winners and losers. And even if you are winning, you are terrified of being overtaken. You view everyone else as a threat. But when you shift your focus to contribution, when you stop asking what can I get and start asking what can I give, everything changes. You start seeing others as comrades, not rivals. You realize that your value does not come from being better than someone else. It comes from being useful, being kind, and making a difference in your small corner of world. And here is the most liberating part. You can be happy right now. Not when you get the promotion, not when you have more money, not when you lose 10 pounds. Right now. Because happiness is not a destination you reach. It is a state of contribution you choose in the present moment. The final pillar of this philosophy is the simplest and yet the hardest to actually live by. Live in the here and now. The philosopher compares life to dancing. When you are dancing, you are not trying to reach the end of the song. You are not focused on the finish line. You are just moving moment by moment. The dance is the point. Most of us are either trapped in the past, reliving our regrets, or paralyzed by the future, terrified of what might happen. But Adler says, if you shine a bright spotlight on the present moment, you cannot see the past, you cannot see the future. The past does not control you. It is just a story you are telling yourself. The future does not exist yet. It is just a projection of your fear. All you have is this moment. And in this moment, you have total power. You can choose to be different. You can choose to let go of the story. You can choose to be happy. You can choose to be free. The book ends with a quiet, profound moment. The young man ties his shoes in the cool evening air. He looks up at the moonlight, and for the first time he realizes the world is simple and so is life. It was never complicated. We just made it that way with our excuses, our fears, and our desperate need for approval. So here is the question this book forces you to answer, deep in your gut. Are you ready to have the courage to be disliked? Are you ready to stop blaming your history? Are you ready to stop begging for validation from people who do not truly know you? Are you ready to start living authentically, even if it makes people uncomfortable? If this resonated with you, I want you to do something right now. Hit that like button, not for me, but as a reminder to yourself that you are choosing to change. Subscribe if you want more deep, uncomfortable, life-shifting ideas like this. And most importantly, drop a comment. I want to know what is one thing you are doing today that you are doing purely for someone else's approval. Be honest, be courageous. And if you know someone who is trapped in their past, share this with them. Because sometimes the most loving thing you can do is tell someone the truth. You are not broken, you are just hiding. And you are free to stop. I'll see you in the next one.